So we are back. So as we have already completed section 94 and section 95, which dealt with how the documentary evidence has to be proved in relation to a contract, grant, or disposition of a property in relation to prescribed form when it is required by law to be in written form, or otherwise if it is in a written form. So after that we are left with some general principles which allows or disallows the presentation of oral evidence in relation to that document. So let's begin with section 96. It states that exclusion of evidence to explain or amend ambiguous document. It says that when the language used in a document is on its face ambiguous or defective, evidence may not be given of facts which would show its meaning or supply its defects. So in case there are two types of ambiguities, one is the patent and the other one is latent. Patent ambiguity means the ambiguity which is on the face of the document, the ambiguity which can be detected by just having a look over the document. Suppose there is a sale deed of a car. A sells car to B, and A writes in a document, I sell my car to B for 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs. So it is the patent ambiguity on the face of the document because the amount of the car is not certain. It is either 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs. So in this case, the A who has framed the document will not be allowed to give oral evidence to certain the amount of a car. In this way, he will be barred by section 96 to give oral evidence for the price of the car to make it certain. So after that there is a section 97, exclusion of evidence against application of a document to existing facts. When language used in a document is plain in itself and when it applies accurately to existing facts, evidence may not be given to show that it was not meant to apply to such facts. So when the language used in a document is very clear and very accurate, that terms and conditions used in document applies to the existing facts, then it is very plain and very clear. So then no oral evidence can be given in relation to that document. So for example, A has a house in Amritsar. A has only one house. So he has his house situated in Amritsar and he does a sale deed for that house, and he writes in the sale deed that I sell my house to B. So there is no other house of A and he does not have any interest or any kind of share in any other house. He has only one house. So in the document he writes I sell my house to B. So in this case the language used in the document is clear and plain and it applies to the existing facts. So there are two things in section 97. One thing, the language used in the document is very plain and it is not ambiguous, and along with that, that plain and unambiguous language applies to the existing facts. So then the party is barred under section 97 to give any kind of oral evidence in relation to that document. It is as simple as that. After that there is a section 98. It states that when language used in a document is plain in itself but is unmeaning in reference to existing facts, evidence may be given to show that it was used in a peculiar sense. So sometimes the language used in the document is very plain and very unambiguous and very accurate, but it does not apply to the existing facts. So let's take the same example. So suppose A, as we have already mentioned the facts, A has his house in Amritsar and he wants to sell that house, but in document he mistakenly or any kind of unintentional error, he wrote, I sell my house situated in Ludhiana to B, but he has no house in Ludhiana. So in this case, the language used in the document is very simple and very clear, but it does not apply to the existing facts. Then the party is allowed to give oral evidence to correct that meaning of the document so that the terms and conditions of the document can apply to the existing facts. So in this way, we have completed section 98. After that, section 99, it states that when the facts are such that the language used might have been meant to apply to anyone and could not have been meant to apply to more than one of several persons or things, evidence may be given of facts which show which of those persons or things it was intended to apply to. So in some cases, the parties draft a document and write language that is very simple and clear, but sometimes the language of the document is such that it applies to more than two or more existing situations. Then also the parties are allowed to give oral evidence to make it clear that the terms and the conditions of the document applies to which existing facts. So for example, A has two white cars. The cars are white in color. So he drafted a document in which he wrote, I sell my white car to B. But he owns two white cars. In this way, to make the document's meaning clear and to make it clear on which existing fact it applies, here A is allowed to give oral evidence that this document applies to this car or that car because he owns two cars. So in this way, he is allowed to give oral evidence to make that document's application on a particular existing fact possible. ठीक है जी. So after that, there is section 100. It states that when the language used applies partly to one set of existing facts and partly to another set of existing facts, but the whole of it does not apply correctly to either, evidence may be given to show to which of the two it was meant to apply. Sometimes the document used by the parties includes different types of facts, and some of the terms or conditions applies to one existing fact and some of the terms applies to the another existing facts, which make the relation not coordinated. So in this way, the oral evidence can be given by the party to make it clear that the terms and conditions of the document applies to which existing facts in a correct manner. So for example, if we have to take an illustration for section 100, suppose there are different types of car variants and there is a color combination of car also there. Suppose A owns a Maruti Suzuki Swift and that is white in color and it is a VDI model. So in this case, A drafted a document to sell that car and he wrote, I sell my white ZDI Swift car. In this way, some of the existing terms and conditions of the documents apply to the existing facts, but some of the terms and conditions does not apply, as because he does not own a ZDI model because he only owns VDI model. In this way, oral evidence can be given to make the application of the document to the existing facts so that the document can be executed. So after that, there is section 101. Evidence may be given to show the meaning of illegible or not commonly intelligible characters of foreign, obsolete, technical, local and regional expressions, of abbreviations of words used in a peculiar sense. So I think this section 101 is quite similar to the 6th proviso of section 95, where even the parties to the document are allowed to give an oral evidence to make the any kind of a special word which gives particular meaning or particular language to the document. In same sense, the section 101 allows the parties to give oral evidence to make the meaning clear of any particular word or any kind of abbreviation or any words used in a technical or local or regional expressions. So in this case there are, जैसा कि कई जोग्राफिकल लोकेशंस पे कुछ खास तरह का वार्तालाप स्थित होता है, तो अगर वह पेक्यूलियर वार्तालाप डॉक्यूमेंट में इस्तेमाल किया गया है और जिसका अर्थ दूसरे पक्षकार को समझ में नहीं आ रहा, तो दूसरा पक्षकार अपनी वार्तालाप जो कि उसके क्षेत्र में इस्तेमाल किया जाता है, तो उसका वह मौखिक साक्ष्य प्रस्तुत करके दूसरे पक्षकार को समझा सकता है कि डॉक्यूमेंट का अर्थ इस प्रकार समझा जाए। ठीक है जी। सो आफ्टर दैट सेक्शन 1 और 2, who may give evidence of agreement varying terms of a document. Persons who are not parties to a document or their representatives in interest may give evidence of any facts tending to show a contemporaneous agreement varying the terms of the document. It is already clear. I have already the thing which can be inferred from section 95, because it only applies to the parties to the documents. The persons who are not parties to the document can always give oral evidence for the purpose of variation, contradiction, addition or subtraction of any document. So section 1 or 2 makes it clear that the persons who are not parties to the document can give oral evidence for the purpose of any contrary agreement that are violative of the terms and conditions of the document drafted by the parties. And section 103 is a saving clause. So this chapter shall not apply to any provisions of the Indian Succession Act as to the construction of the wills. So the Indian Succession Act has been saved by section 103. So these all principles does not apply to the construction of wills. So in this way we have completed the exclusion of oral evidence. So tomorrow we will be starting the burden of proof. So if you feel any kind of doubt or any query in relation to exclusion of oral evidence, you can ask me anytime. So all the best to all of you, and from tomorrow we will be starting the burden of proof. That's all for today.